Hi, this is a review of the Phenyx Pro PTX 10. It's a 4-channel USB mixer. I just started a new website where I'm talking about podcasting and the equipment that you need to get into it. Everything from plugging a USB microphone into your computer, and that's everything you're using, up to full professional rigs. You can check that out at podcasting.ninja if you're interested. And I wanted to try out a few of the entry-level mixers that are around now. I have used different mixers over the years for both audio recording, music, and also doing voice podcasting and things like that. Usually for podcasting, you need a very simple mixer. You're just usually looking to mix your voice, maybe with some sound effects, a soundboard, something like that, which could be coming in from your tablet or your phone or really any external audio device that you want to plug in. You want to mix that with your voice, and that's pretty much what a podcast is. If you're doing something where you have multiple people doing a podcast, obviously you want one that's a little bit bigger than this one, that has more XLR inputs, more microphone inputs to handle how many people that you're using. But for most people, since podcasting is a personal thing, most shows are a single person, or a single person maybe bringing in a co-host via Skype. I wanted to take a look and see what the best things out on the market right now for doing that would be. And we've had some experience with the Phenyx Pro stuff as far as their wireless microphones, their microphones. Was pretty impressed with the bang for the buck that you got from those, so figured I would give this unit a try. The instruction booklet that comes with this thing, just to show you, is very simple. Just a few pages. You know, it's not rocket science. There's only a small number of inputs, small number of outputs. This does show you how to route everything and what you need to plug in. And it does a pretty good job of that, understanding the instructions. If you've ever used a mixer, you probably won't need the instruction manual at all. Now, the interesting thing about this device is that it's USB, which means you can record directly into your computer like we're doing now, but you can also record using an external device like a Zoom recorder. The reason that'll be more important one way or the other is depending on whether you want to bring somebody in via Skype, and we'll talk about that in a second. But let's take a look at the mixer itself. It's a pretty simple device. We have got my Shure SM7B plugged directly into this microphone, or the microphone plugged directly into this mixer, and I'm really impressed with the amount of gain that it's giving this microphone. Anybody that has a Shure SM7B. I didn't think it was going to work with this mixer, to be honest with you, because usually you need to drive this thing really, really hard, and driving it really hard usually results in a whole lot of hiss, and that really wasn't the case here. I am not using the cloud lifter, which normally would make the microphone pretty much happy with any mixing board. So this is going directly, no processing at all, from my the Shure SM7B microphone directly into the mixing board. It's not going through my normal channel strip, which has the compressor and noise gate and everything like that. So what you're hearing right now is strictly the microphone going into this little mixing board, then being fed via USB into my computer, which is recording the audio from the webcams, or recording the audio from the mixer along with the video from the webcams. As you can see, we've got this set nowhere near at 100% gain. The gain is right about here, and we can bring this. It's going to start distorting a little bit, and you'll hear the hissing of that when you start really driving this all the way up. But we bring it all the way down and put this right back about where it was. And we've got here, this is the fader for the channel. Obviously, as you bring this down, everything gets quieter. As we bring this up, everything starts getting louder. So this is how you adjust the volume on your microphone. There is an EQ here. Everything is set right now right to the middle, but if you wanted to adjust the bass, you can bring that up and bring that down. I don't have my headphones on, so I don't know how good or bad that's sounding. The same thing with the mid-range. You can bring that up. You can bring that down. Leave that set right in the middle. And, of course, the high end, you can bring that all the way up. You can bring that all the way down. and then set that right back in the middle. You do have the phantom power, which we don't need here because we're running a dynamic microphone, but if you're using a condenser microphone, you would need that. It has a little effects, they call it. It's really just echo, so I don't know if anybody's ever going to use this. This is something that I would never engage. If it was a reverb or something like that, you might use a little bit even for voiceovers. You might use it for recording guitars and whatnot. But basically what you have here, and we will unmute it and bring these up here, and you're just going to start hearing an echo chamber. So I don't know how needed an echo chamber is, and we'll mute that again. So that I didn't find to be all that useful. I couldn't really even think of a use for it. A reverb effect, like I said, perhaps that would be an interesting a thing to have, but in this case, not a big deal. You don't need to use it. There is a playback control here. Now, what this is going to control is the audio coming back from your PC. So currently, right now, I am using the PC to record this. If I was playing music from a PC back to this device, I could use this to adjust the volume of the playback in the headphones. This will not route audio from a PC, though, back to the PC, which makes sense because all you're going to get there is a feedback loop, and that's no good. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. Here is the volume control for the input here, which we currently have going on a cable which is connected to my iPad, so we'll show you in a second the sound coming in on that. These are phono cables. Not a big deal, just you have to make sure you have the right cable for what you need to do. Some mixers like this have an RCA input here, which is maybe more easier to use for some people if you have the cables laying around to go from your CD player or your portable player, whatever you have, say with a headphone jack going into the input, going into an RCA is normally used a little bit more often, but Pro Audio uses the phono jack, so you can't really say that is a good or bad thing. Just know which types of cables that you need to have. You have outputs here, which again are phono jacks, which you can feed into something like the little Zoom recorders, and you have the headphone jack here. So what I'll do here, let me grab my iPad to give you an idea how this mixes the sound in. We will turn the iPad on here, and I have the a little bit of the intro that I have on my YouTube channel, which is just music. So as I hit play on YouTube here, well, can we bring this under? Once I hit play here, that'll mix that audio in. That audio is so you can hear it mixes the audio of whatever device you have plugged in to the microphone that you're using. This is all really good for doing a one-person podcast. It lets you there are different programs that you can get on the Apple and Android that would be sound effects boards. So if you're doing a news podcast or whatever, you can load up a bunch of interview clips, previous, a bunch of news clips, and as you go through, you can just activate those and mix those with your voice. Now, the one thing you cannot do while recording via your computer is record a Skype call, because this doesn't have what they call mix minus, which is what you need. More expensive mixers will have this. They'll give you the ability to pull the audio in from like an iPad like I'm doing there, or from your computer, and also route the sound back to it. Because obviously if you're on a Skype call, the person on the other end, they need to hear you as well. So the problem with that whole thing, again, is the feedback. If you're throwing all the audio back to the computer, the person's voice coming in from Skype is going to go back to them because they're on your computer. So what you need to do in this case, it doesn't have a mix minus setting on here. But again, if you get a set of cables like this, and rather than recording on your computer, you can use your computer for the Skype call. This microphone, whatever you're using to record, will still be heard by Skype, but you can then take this using these outputs. So rather than recording on your computer, you use your computer strictly to get the Skype call in. You use these outputs, you plug that into a Zoom recorder or something like that, and you can actually do the podcast that way, where it will mix everything together, meaning your microphone works, the Skype call works, and they can hear the microphone, and and they'll also hear your audio. They just can't get it bounced back to them. So basically, if you want to do a one-person podcast without bringing somebody in via Skype, you can use this mixing board and record it using Audacity or something directly in your computer. You don't need an external recording device. If you want to do a podcast and bring somebody in via Skype, you can still use this mixing board, but you have to use the outputs and then record into a Zoom recorder or something like that. So it can do everything you need to do as far as a one-person podcast, whether you want to bring somebody in remotely or not, and you can handle all of that. You just have to know you're going to need a separate recorder, something to plug that into if you want to do the Skype. So while it doesn't have mix minus, if you have the ability to have an external recorder, and a lot of people like external recorders anyway, you can get them fairly cheaply now, between $100 and $200. And the thing I like about external recorders, if you're doing a podcast, is they are made for one thing and one thing only. That's recording audio. If you have a glitch on your computer, your audio is not affected. They're pretty much bomb-proof. So for doing a podcast, I would highly recommend having an external device like a little Zoom recorder. And in that case, this little mixing board here will do everything that you need to do for doing a single-person podcast, whether or not you're bringing somebody into the mix. The overall quality on this thing is excellent. Like I said, I'm really surprised that it can drive this microphone to begin with. The headphones that when I plugged into here weren't super clear. There seemed to be a little bit of noise in the headphones, but I wasn't picking that up on the recording, so that may just be something that is in the headphones. It's also possible with a computer, 3 monitors, and a bunch of other electronic devices sitting right next to this, that it may just be I have a ton of electrical interference in here, and it didn't bother me. I could hear it, but it didn't bother me when using the headphones, but I could really only hear it when everything was silent. The minute I start feeding any kind of a signal through it, I didn't hear that at all. So, again, your mileage may vary. The fact that it didn't carry that interference onto the recorded audio, I thought made this a lot of bang for the buck for the $75 or so price point. For anybody that's doing podcasting, this is a great mixer to get started with, to be able to plug an XLR microphone in, mix it with some audio from an iPad or an Android device or whatever you have that you want to plug in. And it's pretty much a one-stop podcasting shop. You can also plug in to the channel here. You can plug in an electric guitar or other instrumentation like that. So again, if you're doing basic music recording, this would be good as well. And the other thing that I liked about this, I don't know if it's something that I would ever use, but if you have a headset, like a gaming headset, a lot of those, unless they're completely USB, the gaming headsets have 2 connectors, which are basically the same size as a headphone jack, and that's what these inputs are here. I have not tested that, but it appears you can actually use a gaming headset as part of this as well. The only thing this device doesn't have, and it's the way a lot of these small mixers are, is you don't have a great way to know if you're overloading the system. Unless you're using the monitor outs, the little LEDs don't even light here for clipping, so it's something that you have to go by ear rather than having a physical reading that you're overloading. For instance, though, if you're recording something like I am now using Open Broadcaster, I have the display on the screen showing me what the audio level is. So again, it really depends on what you're doing. I didn't find it to be a big deal. You can tell by ear if you're overloading. but be aware that there really is not a way to tell on the device itself whether or not the audio is overloading. So again, a lot of bang for the buck like this. It is powered by the PC, which is also nice, and it also included a little wall wart. So if you didn't want to, if you were recording, say, just the microphone and whatever you were feeding in from your tablet, and you were out and about somewhere and you were recording into a Zoom recorder and you didn't have a laptop or PC, you can use the USB cable into this little wall wart here, plug that in, and that you can get your power from that. So it's nice that you can take this thing even on the go, as long as you have something that would be a even a power brick, something like that you would use to recharge your phone. You'd be able to use that to power this little mixer. So it's very low power, which I think is a good thing, makes it even a little bit more versatile. We're going to be looking at a bunch of other mixers and things like that over on my new website, as I said, if you want to check that out. And also check out my Amazon reviews here, because I'm sure a lot of those we will be getting from Amazon, to show you the differences between the different mixers, microphones, and everything basically that you need for podcasting. But overall, would definitely give this one a recommended rating at the price. It does a lot. A lot of the individual mixers, like I said, there is no easy way to do a Skype call and record it. This, you do need an extra device, an extra recorder, but it makes it nice and easy to do that if you want to do that. If you have any questions, add them to the listing here. We do take we watch those, and if we can help you with an answer, feel free to reach out to us, ask the question. If we have an answer, we'll give it to you. If we don't, we'll certainly try to find it. Again, this has been a review of the Phenyx Pro PTX 10, the USB mixer. My name is Darren O'Neill. Thanks for watching.